Today's podcast is brought to you by itpro.tv. You can go to itpro.tv/ring and get a 30% coupon off code. Paul, our national nightmare is not working behind me. There we go. It has come to an end.
Which of our national?
The thing that has been holding us back for quite some time. Things that have just been a burden on us is over. 3D Paint. 3D Paint will no longer be bundled with Windows 10.
I know.
And we can put that to rest. Thank goodness.
I understand this. This is not a complaint. But I am continually fascinated by how people obsess over these things, like because I do too. I use Microsoft Paint every single day. This is a program that dates back probably 30 years. It's been refreshed over the years a number of times. Most recently, I think for Windows Vista when they added the ribbon UI. I guess that would have been Windows 7.
That's the last big update.
Yeah. WordPad and Paint both got the ribbon for some reason. Anyway, when they did the creators stuff that year, probably 2016, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Added all the 3D junk to Windows, like the Explorer integration, those two apps they're getting rid of. And then they put a little message in Paint, we're going to get rid of this application. And people freaked out because Paint 3D is not a replacement. And so eventually they were like, well, we'll put it in the store. Don't worry, you'll still be able to get it if you want it. And then they got rid of the message, and now they're not getting rid of it. And, of course,
time is a flat circle, Paul.
Yes, right. So I've actually gotten several questions about this. What does this mean for Paint? And I don't know. I mean, there's no way to know. I mean, as we look to Sun Valley, we always look to the next thing. The next thing's going to solve all these problems, So what is Sun Valley really? Is it going to be like a lipstick on the pig kind of thing where they refresh the UX, but all the apps stay the same? It's Microsoft, probably. It's probably going to be that lame, Are they going to refresh legacy interfaces, right? Control panel interfaces, MMC interfaces, and these legacy apps like Notepad, Paint, WordPad, which shouldn't even be in there.
I would be very surprised.
The logical answer to that is no. Why would they do that? Because it would be consistent and excellent. That's why. But are they going to do that? Is that a good use of engineering resources, of time, the expense of doing it? Probably not. Does that mean that Paint is going to be removed? Should an operating system have basic apps like this built in? Blah blah blah. We can go on and on and on. The answer is we don't know. And all I can say is I do use it every day. And one of the things that I miss, because there's a familiarity aspect to efficiency and productivity, when I go to Chrome OS or if I go to the Mac, is I try to find things that are like the things I use on Windows, So on the Mac, I have some app. I don't even remember the name of it, but there's some Paint-like app you can get in the store. I might have paid $2.99 for it. It might have been free. I have no idea. But just because I kind of need that sort of thing day to day, So as long as something like that's available, I don't care too much. I'm not going to pick at the Microsoft Redmond campus. Like you'll take this Paint application from Windows, from my cold dead fingers, or whatever the phrase is. But we're a central part of a community that is navel gazing over the end of Cortana support on Invoke Speaker that like approximately 17 people bought. And now we're debating the future of Paint. From the outside world's perspective, we are crazy people.
Paul, I do have a question, though, for you. What if you want to add a 3D dinosaur to your kid's soccer video? How the future of that is.
So I will say that if I'm making a video of my kid playing soccer at this point, something's gone really wrong in my life because my kid is 23 years old this year. For starters. That was never really a need. Although, listen, bringing Hollywood-style effects down to the mainstream is obviously a natural progression. I mean, that type of thing is happening. I mean, but I'll just, look, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and we have our whatever level of professionalism that occurs here from an AV perspective. You can watch people on YouTube who are like travel vloggers or whatever they're doing. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's not a lot of special effects going on. I mean, I think most people would be happy with a simple transition between different parts of video. So
people don't realize that this black bar between us,
you're getting there,
costs $300,000 to implement.
Yes, right. And I'm still convinced it's like a pixel bigger on your side than on mine, but that's fine. It's fine. You did do it, so I mean, you deserve that.
I could go adjust it right now, but that'll cost me $900,000.
Keep squeezing me out a little bit.
Yeah, just every day of the week, it just gets a little.
It just gives the pixel closer.
Eventually, Paul's like leaning into the.
Yeah, I'll be like the picture-in-picture thing.
Yeah, good old Pip. We don't see enough of that anymore. Although they're trying to sort of have it on the quote-unquote internet or in the browser.
Right? Doesn't Pip sound awesome? But
yeah.
The truth is, it's just annoying. You know? It's one of those things like it's the dream. You're a sports fan, right? I want to watch the big game over here. I want to have another one go. I want to have a row of them going maybe. It's the NFL Red Zone thing or whatever. Yeah. But the reality is implementing that, getting it set up is so tedious. Most people, I can hit a button on my controller that makes it go back and forth.
I'm sure everybody has a memory, at least I do, of when that feature started coming out and everybody got a TV with it. And this is the scenario that always happens. So you're watching a show, it goes to commercial break. Oh, got to use Pip. Got to show that I got the feature on my TV. And then you put it in the little window and you just browse whatever the TV stations until your show comes back on. You flip, and that's and then never use again.
No, because it's just as easy just to flip to the guide and go through the channels. That's the thing. It's a great example of something that sounds great. It was probably a great demo at some early version of the Consumer Electronics Show in the 1970s or something, where it's like, oh my god, this is incredible.
This is the thing. It's the future.
Black and white color, Pip. This is the progression.
And then we hit 3D without glasses, and that's where it all went.
Right. That went well, huh?
This technology is great. You have to stand on that X in your living room for 9 hours.
Right. People on the side are like, is my vision going?
Mommy, I have a headache. You will enjoy the 3D.
Separated? Yeah.
Oh, man. Speaking of other things that are quote-unquote failures, the iPhone 12 mini, apparently, this is one of those, Paul, I think this is like a close relationship to Windows or maybe even the Invoke, right? There's a very vocal user group who wants the iPhone 12 mini. They're very vocal.
Oh, yeah. But this is a lot of the comments. I have a mini and I love it.
But
congratulations.
The majority of people don't want one.
I know every single person that has an Invoke and they love it too. I've got a lot of psychological profiling going on in the comments this morning from this article because people assume I have some kind of an anti-Apple agenda or whatever. But the truth is, there have been multiple reports about the failure of the iPhone 12 mini over the past several months, and I've just kind of ignored it. I don't write a lot of these kinds of stories. And then this one finally came up, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. It is a story, right? Because there's a lot of people people are very vocal. People are very vocal about what Harman Kardon and or Microsoft should have done with the Invoke. Very vocal. We're talking class action lawsuits and blah, blah, whatever. People are very vocal about their preference for phones.
Yep.
Some people love big phones, some people love small phones. I used to talk about this kind of the notion of a sweet spot, which of course evolved over time regarding phone screen size. We've talked about curved display edges, flat the screen. That we've gone on and on and on. And I probably use more phones in a year than most people, and I have my own preferences for sure. But I can tell you, as a middle-aged guy, a smaller screen does not work for me because it's just, you have to make the elements too big for it to be worth it. But yeah, I think we can all acknowledge there are people who like small phones. There's no doubt about it. But Apple is an interesting bellwether because Apple right now is the biggest smartphone maker in the world. They're certainly the most influential phone maker in the world. And when Apple releases a product that doesn't do as well as expected, I think we do need to pay attention to that. And what this shows is that fewer people want smaller phones. Mm-hmm. That's all. It doesn't mean there isn't a market for it. Doesn't mean there won't be an iPhone 13 mini maybe, but I bet they won't make as many of them. And obviously they have an SE as well. And the SE, one would naturally wonder why they have to have both of these things. And there's a price difference there for sure. I mean, you're paying for older technology on the outside when you buy an iPhone SE. Is there a market for it? Yeah, probably. Here's
a fun probably thought for you. If Lumia sold as many iPhone 12 minis as Apple sold,
would it have been like a blockbuster success?
Probably, I bet it.
So the market is different today, right? Yeah. So I think to be fair to Lumia, what we would have to do is look at the respective sizes of the smartphone market, do percentages, right? I don't remember the numbers on Lumia anymore. I as far as like units sold and everything, and Microsoft obviously was kind of quiet about that stuff, but They had some years where they did sell several million units, and maybe even quarters. I don't remember exactly, but
Well, they also sold a bunch of those, like dumb phones too. They sold tons of those, but
right.
there was no money in those for Microsoft.
I might be writing something about this soon. OnePlus is making a lot of noise this week about camera improvements. This is the Achilles heel of the OnePlus phones. On the Android side of the fence, I know a lot of people don't trust this company or have whatever issues. Of course, everything we talk about, there are huge opinions on both sides. But I think OnePlus makes the best Android phones in the world, except for the camera. And that's a huge thing for me because camera is job one. And every single time they come up with one, I'm like, please, 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 and no. And it was so bad with the last one, the OnePlus 8T, which I got to talk about screwing up a strategy, but is an upgrade to the base level OnePlus 8 from earlier in the year, not the OnePlus 8 Pro. It's like, guys, seriously. But I wrote an article about inconsistency because inconsistency to me is the worst. Because if you know something never works, you can work around it.
Yeah.
But if something works some of the time, you're just going to be frustrated by it all the time. And I take a lot of pictures of food in restaurants, for example. I take a picture of a plate of food, and what is in focus is the table behind our table. And it's like, guys, look, I know I can make mistakes, but seriously, but I mean, the reason I bring this up now is I was thinking back to the Lumia 1020, which came out in July 2013. And I got that phone. I had my wife drive me to the far end of debt, and I walked back, and I took a bunch of pictures. And some of these pictures, it was like a picture of a bumblebee on a leaf. You could see every single hair on its leg. You could see every single vein in the leaf. This thing had like a true bokeh effect where the background was blurred. It's an effect we now do with computational photography, which didn't even exist back then. It was actually, you can, it's right there. You can see it right on the shelf.
I was going to point that out. Yep.
And the little bump at the bottom that's holding it up there is the camera attached. It's a shutter attachment thing, so you can take pictures with it. It was such a. I'm going to. Unfortunately, the screen cracked. I've never cracked the screen of a phone while I was using it. This one cracked somehow in a box when we moved to Pennsylvania, so it had been fine the whole time, and somehow in shipping it or whatever, I cracked the screen, but it still works. Like I think I might actually go out in the world with this camera and take some pictures and compare it to other smartphones of today, and I think people might be surprised that those pictures are going to hold up pretty well. I mean, it's slower than molasses, whatever. But I bet even today, like that's a really good thing, and that's where Nokia had that. I mean, the Nokia, for that one brief shining moment, awesome. That one, the 1520, incredible, and then the 930, and whatever the thing in the U.S. was called, the Verizon one was the. If I remember, it's the Nokia Lumia. I don't remember. Whatever
something or other.
Well, they had a name. No, it was a name. It had like a name.
Lumia Icon.
Icon. I think yes. Icon.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So for that little, whatever that was, 2-year period, maybe. Possibilities were endless. Where are they today? Do you remember?
What's that?
How are they doing?
Yeah.
I mean, but at least the Lumia brand survived, right? I mean,
but something that will help you survive is from our friends over at itpro.tv, because that is a skills development platform addressing the global IT skills gap by providing online training for IT professionals in every stage of their career. With training that's more like a talk show, kind of like this podcast, IT pros watch and learn with a more affordable and convenient and better than classroom experience. You can head on over to itpro.tv/ring, special exclusive offer for First Ring Daily listeners.
I just want to take one slight exception to something you just said, which is that you compared this show to a talk show. I view this show as more like two gorillas in a cage at a zoo, and they're flinging like poop at each other for the entertainment of the people walking by.
And there's a big sign that says, "Please don't disturb."
Please don't
knock on the glass.
Yeah, the big one's really mad. He was reading comments. He's just he's not doing good today. He's just running around, thumping his chest, throwing stuff.
The big one. Oh man! Because Paul does hate.
Good mood this morning.
Because Paul does hate Apple, he wrote up that Australia and Epic sues Apple, and just to continue to.
You know what? God bless this company, not Apple. Epic. This is going to change. this and all the other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to institute real change.
Yep.
And
I agree.
whether it goes to court, whether there are rulings, whatever it is, it's. And we already saw little bits of it last year. Apple came out of WWDC. They made they made a huge policy change with regard to developers and how much, percentage they can take from them and so forth. I mean, that impacted billions of
Even
developers.
default apps too.
Yeah, right. So they're making those steps. Is it perfect? No, but it's way better than it was just like a year or two ago. It is, and again, we're in the industry we're in. There's a lot of polarized commentary, as there always is. I mean, of course, there are people who are like, Apple should be able to do whatever it wants in its own app store. I don't understand. If you don't want to do it, just don't go there. And it's like, guys, we can need a little more thought than that, because Apple is a gatekeeper. And for people who are on premium, I linked to this in that Thurrott Now thing. There's a really good story, see if I can find it, which is basically that Apple may have already lost the strategic battle over antitrust market definition in multiple European jurisdictions. Right. And that's the thing. Apple is under assault legally in multiple European jurisdictions, also elsewhere in the world, the United States and elsewhere. And that's a lot of their defense hinges on this incredibly hilarious notion that, well, we don't have a monopoly in anything, so none of this applies to us. And it's like, I don't think you understand what that word means, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we also found out that Photoshop runs natively on the M1, which is good for those people. And Disney's at 100 million plus now.
Yeah,
they're on
incredible.
Yeah,
it's half of Netflix. I think that's the figure.
Wow,
they've only been around for a year and not even a year and a half, right? November 2019, I think they launched. So. Gangbusters, and they're making that investment in original content. So they're really setting themselves. Well, they already are. I was going to say they're setting themselves up to be like a tier A streaming service. No, they are. They own Marvel, they own Star Wars, Pixar, and then Disney. My God, like Disney is the Nintendo of children's content.
Yeah, they really are.
No, it's amazing watching this happen.
Yeah,
and then Quibi too. I mean, I think we should mention that.
We should bring just
for comparison purposes. It's like Walmart taking on the guy at the corner selling bananas.
Get them, boys. Just break the knees. Oh man, that's an analogy. That way we will leave it at that. So today is Thursday. Thankfully, a little slap happy today. And
you know what happened actually? So we screwed up our schedule. Like we go out once a week usually for food, and then we have food taken in. We take out once a week. And last weekend we had some people over we hadn't seen in months and months. They've had all kinds of health stuff going on, and so we ended up getting sushi with those guys because they love that restaurant we go to. And we had already gone on Wednesday. We usually go on Wednesday. So like last night we went to the restaurant we usually go to on Friday nights. And completely just throwing a wrench into our normal schedule, which is very unusual for us. And we just got home and started watching TV, and we both passed out on the couch. We didn't watch it. We didn't see any of it. I don't know what we were trying to watch, but we didn't see it. It doesn't matter. I guess we'll watch it again later. But just like woke up at 11 and was like, all right, I guess we're going to bed. It's like the stupidest Wednesday night. And I guess you don't really treat Wednesday like a Friday is the lesson to that.
Yeah, Wednesdays, a Thursday you can get away with that usually because like you can just kind of.
Thursday's like almost weekend.
Yeah. You ever think Thursday like suffers from imposter syndrome because it's?
Well, I think what we all want is that I'm going to call it a French style. It's unfair; they don't really do this, but like a 4-day work week. Like let's just coast on Friday.
Yeah,
like we can. I'll be here in case anything happens. That's how I want to treat Friday. I can't. I mean, I really can't most days, but every once in a while, the stars align.
Every once in a while. Every once in a while, you should head on over to itpro.tv/ring because they are sponsoring today's podcast, or brought to you by today's podcast, if I can enunciate. Thank goodness it is Thursday, and we'll catch all of you right back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, over on the live internets.
Yes.
Tell me I'm wrong.